Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mike from M&R Automotive. Today we have a Ford Expedition and we're installing four 11.5-inch light bars. First thing you want to do is remove the 5.5mm screws that are along the side of the inner splash guard as well as on the bottom. There's only one on the bottom on the driver's side and there's two on the bottom on the passenger side. So these are 5.5mm. There's also 3 push pins that we have to remove. That's 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to go ahead and take out the push pins. Just get a prying tool. So the next thing we want to do, there's 3 more screws that we have to remove. They are 10mm, and they hold the fender and the bumper together. So there's 2 that go vertically, and there's 1 that goes horizontally towards the front of the bumper. So now I'm going to show you. I'm going to take out 2 of these vertical. They're 10mm and they're gray. I'll show you when I take them out. So that's 1 on the edge, and there's 1 that's a little bit deeper. So the first one's somewhere here. There's a second one that's a little bit deeper within the fender. That's the second one that we've taken out. And then the third one is actually going this way. Well, what I like to do, I'm going to use an extension. I'm going to use, I think this is about a 12-inch extension. So this is the last one that was facing towards the front of the... Now let's go do the same thing on the passenger side, and then we're going to remove the bolts on the bottom. So now we're on the passenger side. I wanted to show you the 2 screws that we're going to remove on the passenger side, and there's only 1 that is on the driver. So this is for the inner liner. That's 1, and this is 2. The driver's side liner is a little bit different. It only has 1 5.5mm screw on the corner here, and then it's going to separate the liner from the bumper itself. I want to see this is completely free. So now we're actually ready to take it off. I'm gonna grab it and pull it out, and there shouldn't be anything else. Now it's just clips on top. I'm gonna separate the one on the passenger side, and then I'll work down the middle. Lift this up a little bit just to release these tabs. I'm gonna pull it up and outward. So now we can go ahead and remove it. So the last thing we have to do is just disconnect the harness for all the lighting and all the electronics in the bumper. So all you do is just pry this, lift this latch up, and that separates the 2 parts of the harness. So now that we unplugged the harness and got all the clips and bolts removed, we can go ahead and pull the bumper off. So now that we removed the bumper, we can go ahead and remove the grille. I see a couple bolts here, so it's a 10mm on the bottom. From the top, I see 4 10mm bolts here. There's 2 more nuts that are holding things on. There's 1 on the driver and 1 on the passenger. Let's start working on the clips. And there's clips here. It's a nice pry tool. It's plastic, so it's not going to damage anything. So you kind of go through all the clips. Okay, and then right here, the side. So now that all the clips are removed, we can go ahead and remove the grille. Now that we have the grille removed, we're getting ready to install the brackets. So now that I have the grille facing me, this is the bottom of it, where the styrofoam piece is. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the factory bolt. I'm gonna slide the larger M&R bracket, and I'm gonna reinstall the same bolt through the eyelid. So the actual eyelid for the light bar is going to be facing down, and the bend of the bracket is towards the inside of the grille. And now I'm going to do the outside one. I'm going to take out the factory screw, and I'm going to go ahead and slide the M&R bracket. So now we have the 2 eyelids to install the light bar. Now I'm going to go ahead and finger thread the bolts for the sides of the light bar on both sides, and then we're going to center it so that way it sits in the opening. These light bars, because of the shape of the grille, it's not parallel to the grille itself. They have to be a little bit at an angle when they're installed. So you'll be able to do the final adjustment of the actual light bars when the grille is reinstalled, so that way we can have this facing forward. So now on the driver's side of the grille, we're going to go ahead and remove the inner screw. We're going to slide the M&R bracket. Okay. And now the same thing on the outer screw. So now we're going to go ahead and thread the light bar. So when doing the wiring, I actually made a mistake. It's a good opportunity for me to go back. The wiring should be on the inside because we're going to fuse the 2 light bars here in the center. So I made a mistake when installing the light bar itself, so I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, so that one's going to make it easier to crimp and connect it to a power source. Each light bar has two wires coming from it. There's a red wire, which is the positive, and a black wire, which is the ground. So now the next thing we have to do is fuse these two together. M&R is going to provide this wiring harness and a couple of crimp connectors in order to fuse these together and take it to a power source. First step is take both of the positives, which are the reds, and we are going to fuse them together. We're going to do the same thing for the blacks, which are the grounds, and then we're going to put a crimp connector on it and one on the black wire. So now with the supplied wire that you have, you're going to go red to red, black to black. Install another pair into the same grill using these bolts here. So I'm going to go ahead just like the first initial pair. Just a reminder that the outer brackets are the smaller ones. Let's talk about the wiring. So we've already connected the top two light bars to utilize one power switch. You have two options here. So we can either have the bottom two separately, so we'll fuse these together and have another two wires going to a power source, or if you really wanted to, you can actually fuse all four light bars together here, so that way you only need one power source and one switch to power all four light bars. So because we're going to separate them, I'm going to go ahead and fuse these two positives and two negatives, and we're going to run a separate wire. And now on the extra wiring, I'm going to do the same thing, red to red, and then black to black. And we will be able to turn on the light bars, the top pair and the bottom pair separately. So now we're ready to install the grill back on the Expedition. So if you wanted all four on one switch, you would just fuse them all here and you'll just have one wire going to your power supply. But in our case, we're going to go ahead and split them up into two switches, so we're going to have two powers and two grounds. Okay, so now let's go ahead and recap what we've done. We've installed two separate pairs of light bars. If you're purchasing a 4 light bar set, this is how it's going to look. If you're purchasing just the dual light bar set, then you're going to get to choose either having the light bars on the top slots or the bottom slots. The brackets are the same. The wiring system that we're going to use is the wireless module. So I want to kind of go over it and show you how we're going to connect it and go through all the steps. What you get here will be the actual module itself. This module allows you to connect 8 different power sources, so it'll take care of multiple accessories. And then the main benefit of it is that it's wireless. You do not have to drag any wires inside the vehicle in order to control the module itself. And it's super easy to install. All you need is just a positive and negative to the battery, and we connect our accessories to it. So when looking at the module itself, you do have a positive here. So this is where the positive cable is going to go. You have a ground that you're going to connect to here, and then it just gets connected to the battery. So here's the additional wiring that you get with the kit. You do have the main fuse here, which is an 80 amp fuse. When I do any type of wiring, I like to disengage the fuse, so that way there's no power going through it. So right now when it's in line, that means that there is power going through the module. So what you want to do is press the button, so that way it snaps out of the way. So now it's in a reset mode, and there's going to be no power. We're going to connect this to the battery. We're going to connect this side to the module itself. So I'm going to take this here. I'm going to feed it under. I'm going to loosen the positive terminal. Slide this here. And we're going to go ahead and tighten that bolt. Let's feed the extra slack through. And we're going to do the same thing for the ground. We're going to feed the black cable through it. Tighten this bolt. Okay, now we're ready to connect this to the battery. Okay, so when we come to the battery, we're going to go ahead and loosen the 10mm bolt. We're going to slide the positive terminal underneath it. And we're going to go ahead and tighten it. So now we're going to have power to our module. We're going to do the same thing for the ground. So now we have the power and ground. So now we're ready to connect the light bars to the wireless harness. So we have 2 different power sources because we split them up into 2 pairs. I'm going to take the 2 power wires here, and we are going to use the 10 amp fuses. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these 4. I'm going to go ahead and use one of these 10 amps for one red and black. And I'm going to tighten them. And I'm going to do the same thing for the second pair. Alright, so we're ready to test it. So I'm gonna go ahead and engage the master fuse, and then we're ready to test it out. So we have one pair of light bars, two pairs of light bars. Because we do have two pairs of lights on different switches, we can control them independently. We opted in for 4 white lights. We wanted a lot of night driving. If you're concerned about bad weather conditions, we also carry these lights in amber. Thank you guys for watching. I know you're gonna love the product, and stay tuned for night output videos as well as the hood mount install on the Expedition.